Let's have a chat to Kevin Courtney, who is Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union. Good morning to you, Kevin.
Good morning, Caroline.
Kevin, we've talked about teachers a lot over the recent months, with some issues about schools reopening. Now, there is one perception that some teachers haven't worked since lockdown began. I'm looking at Facebook, people saying that they don't deserve a pay rise. I mean, what would you say to that?
I think there's a couple of things to say to it. First of all, forget what the politicians say about this being a reward for working during the COVID crisis. The teacher pay rise has come about as a result of a year-long process that started well before the COVID crisis. I gave evidence to the school teacher review body before the lockdown ever happened. We were talking about the fact that it was really hard to recruit new teachers and there was a growing teacher recruitment crisis. And that's why the government said to the school teacher review body they needed to look at a pay uplift for beginner teachers to make sure we've got enough teachers in front of our classes. But I hear sometimes the things you were saying, teachers haven't worked during the crisis. That's not my experience at all. Teachers have been in school working with the children of key workers and other vulnerable children, and they've been at home working with children at home. And I mean, I do hear those stories, but I also hear from teachers telling me that they're working longer hours than they've ever worked before. Everyone needs a pay rise, including your pensioner caller just now. I think our country needs to put money in the pockets of people so that they spend it in the shops and the economy starts going again.
We have talked to some teachers through this who really have gone above and beyond. Let's be honest, we've talked to people that have been calling up the kids, that have been calling up the families, that have really gone all out to make sure that the children are looked after, catered for, have got the work and have got the assistance. There are some that have done that, a lot that have done that. Also, there are some that don't appear to have done a great deal. So I guess it's the same in every single profession. You've got those that do and those that could but don't.
I talk to lots of teachers who are doing the former, who are ringing round and they're really worrying about the kids they can't get in touch with. They're trying to do online learning and some children don't have the facilities at home, don't have the broadband, and we have lots of teachers worrying about that. It's not just teachers who've been working hard. Support staff in schools have also been in schools supporting the children of key workers and the vulnerable kids. And some of them have been at home asked by schools to do ringing around the children. So support staff have been doing this. They need recognition in their pay as well. They're not on this pay cycle, so there's been no announcement about them today. But I think that we've been talking about teacher pay, and it's not just teacher pay, it's the whole of the public sector and the whole of the private sector. Since 2010, when we had those years of no pay rises, and that has led partly to this crisis in teacher supply that we were seeing last year. And sooner or later, you have to put right that eating away at the pay that people have seen if the economy is going to be the economy we want it to be.
Now, the government has said that this money isn't coming from a new pot, rather existing budgets in this case. But, through this as well, we've heard how some schools can't even afford their own equipment, that they're struggling for just the basics. So would the money be better spent elsewhere?
I think we need money for both. My union, the National Education Union, was at the heart of the fight over the school funding cuts, and last summer the government agreed to put some extra billions in. They labelled it up as 14 billion. We said that's a real exaggeration because they'd added together over 3 years, so it's not the effect of what you get in a school at any particular time. But we knew when they were putting that money in, they were planning this sort of pay rise because they were very worried about the teacher shortage that was growing. So they calculated this when they put that money in. The trouble is that money can't be spent twice. So if it is being spent on the teacher pay rise, which I think is right and justified, it isn't there then to spend on the other things. And our country has the biggest class sizes in Europe in primary schools, and they're the biggest they've been in this country for decades. So I wouldn't say the money would be better spent. I'd say we need money for both.
Yeah, and we've heard from teachers as well that were teachers and that through one situation or another decided not to pursue the profession. Maybe it was stress, maybe they were just vexed at the fact that there weren't enough, there was not enough equipment and so on and so forth, and they couldn't teach like that. So although they're going to be earning more money, well, when they've got the money, will that be enough to keep them there? If the situation doesn't change, if we don't get more stuff in the classrooms and more equipment in the classrooms?
I think that's a really important question, and I think there are both ends of that. We have to look at the sort of work and the amount of it, and that isn't about teaching's always been a long hours profession. But I like to say long hours preparing exciting lessons for your class isn't the same as long hours preparing evidence for a bureaucrat that doesn't trust you. And that's how it feels to many teachers, that they feel that. And teacher working hours are bigger in our country, in England, than they are in any of our European competitors. We're not getting better education results. It's just the way we choose to organise education in this country is driving up the workload. So it's, an example I sometimes use is primary teachers who do practical maths with their class are often told that they have to take photographs of the practical maths. At the end of the day, print out the photographs and stick them in the book in order to prove to someone else that you did the practical maths. Teachers in other countries don't have to do that. And that sort of workload and the lack of trust that it implies is a reason why a lot of teachers have given up. A lot of people have given up. A lot of teachers give up to become teaching assistants so they can be working with the kids, even though they get a substantial pay cut when they do that. And so we think you have to address pay and that sort of workload. It is the working hours, but it's the sort of work and the fact that you think when you're doing it, this isn't really improving my class's education. I'm doing it to prove something to somebody else.
I think what we've found through all of this is that change is needed in a great load of areas. Lots of change needs to be needed, and it can be done to make things better. So maybe when they go back to school, the kids go back to school, maybe there needs to be a rethink, full stop.
We really think that's important. We think there are lots of things shown in this crisis that we should be doing better. The fact that some kids, just 700,000 kids, don't have broadband or a laptop or a tablet. And when there is so much learning, even in normal times, that happens in that way, incidental learning, those children are held back by that. So that's something our society needs to change. But these things about teacher workload, arising as they do from that lack of trust, they could be changed as well. One thing that we're pleased about is they were going to get the children who are just going into school to do a baseline test in September. And teachers aren't against testing children. We invented tests. But this particular baseline assessment, it's not for the kids at all. You don't tell the teacher, even or the parent, what the result of the test was. It's only used for another accountability mechanism. And we're pleased that they're not doing that this September, because that would have been such a waste of everyone's time. So there are some things that could go in the right way. We worry about some things maybe going the wrong way if we're not careful. But there are chances to improve things. We should all be looking at how we can improve them and build back better, as people are saying.
Well, fingers crossed that is the case. Thank you for chatting to me. That's Kevin Courtney, who is Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union.